Hello, my name is Alexander Radowski and I am front-end team lead at LANARS. Recently we made a tutorial on our blog on how to create a gradient generator. Detailed instructions are available at lanars.com. Also check out the description below for a link to the project. In this video I will do a code breakdown on how each component works. Let me show what we have here. So in this project we have a header with a theme switcher, a gradient preview, gradient range, where we can add colors and change their positions, active palette, where you can change the color and opacity, gradient type, where you can choose between linear and radial, and its angle. And lastly, a block with the code that you can copy. So let's begin with the theme switcher. We have two themes, light and dark, and it all happens in the root component app.tsx. So we have a user layout effect here that sets the initial theme mode when the component mounts. It does the following. It retrieves the theme mode from local storage, and then it determines the system's preferred color scheme using Windows Match Media. And then it sets the theme mode to either the value from local storage or the system preference by calling this function. And there's a set theme mode function sets the theme mode, and it does three things. First, it sets an attribute data theme on the root HTML component, and then it saves the mode name to the browser's local storage, and then it updates the state. And when the state is updated, it is passed back to the switch component. In the styles for the switcher, we have two classes, light and dark. And they are applied to switch depending on selected theme. And these classes apply animations, and here you can see some of keyframes that are doing that animation. The theming itself works by using CSS custom properties that are in variables. So yeah, we have different custom properties for two cases. And the theme applies with this selector attribute data theme, which can be light and dark. So the next comes the gradient preview, which is here. So here we have a preview of color palettes and a gradient that is composed of these palettes. Not much else is going on here. Then goes the gradient range settings. This component provides means to manipulate and display range of gradient colors with a slider and a button to swap colors. Here we have handle swap colors function, which sorts the palettes array by position. Then it reverses the positions of sorted palettes, and then it updates each palette with the reversed options. So that's what this button do. And we also have this fun little animation here when we hover on this button, which is just changing positions of each arrow. That's all. And also in this component we have a multi-thumb slider, which is this thing. This component provides a user interface for adjusting the positions of palettes within this gradient. Users can add new colors by clicking on the slider, and they can adjust positions of existing colors. So here we have a ref, which is a reference to the slider container element used for detecting clicks. And here we have a function that takes a new position value and palette ID, then it finds the corresponding palette and updates its position. And then it calls set palettes to update the state within new position, with the new position. Then this function handle add new color. It detects clicks on the slider container. It calculates the position where the new color should be added based on the mouse position. Then it creates a new palette with the default color, which is black. And then it calls set active palette to set this palette as active. And then it updates the palettes array. And the slider itself is made of multiple inputs with the type range. And it works by removing appearance of these sliders with these two properties for both WebKit and Mozilla. And then we also added styles with these pseudo selectors to change the appearance of the dots or thumbs. And then we have the gradient active palette, which is located here. So yeah, we have several things that's going on here. First, we have a use effect that ensures that whenever active palette ID changes, it updates the hex color and opacity when it changes. Then the next use effect ensures that whenever hex color state changes, it converts the hex color to RGBA object and updates the opacity. Then we have handle blur color input, which validates and updates the hex color on input blur event. And then we have a function that updates the color opacity when user inputs something in these two inputs. Yeah, so we have a div here with a current color, and when we click it, we can see a palette component, which is basically a library, and it's called React Colorful if you wonder. Then we have two inputs for color and opacity, and opacity slider that is very similar to the slider above. And lastly, we have a delete button which deletes the current color from gradient, and also have this fun little animation. The next one is gradient type and angle, which is located here. This component provides a user interface for selecting and customizing gradients, allowing users to choose between linear and radial types. And they can also adjust their properties such as angle and position. So what we have here, a use effect which adds and removes mouse up and mouse down. This is needed for elements that control angle and position. The next one ensures that when the gradient position or gradient type changes, the component updates its states accordingly to reflect the new gradient angle or position. This function right here determines the angle of the gradient based on the position of a click or touch event. First, it retrieves the bounding rectangle of the circle that calculates of this circle and calculates its center coordinates. Then it determines the coordinates of the pointer. Next, it computes the difference between the center and the center of the circle and pointer. It then calculates the angle in radians and converts it to degrees. It also ensures that it falls within the range of 0 to 300. Finally, it updates the gradient position using the calculated angle. This function is responsible for managing the event when clicking or touching on the square that represents the position picker for radial gradients. So it begins the same by obtaining the bounding rectangle of the square. Then it determines the coordinates of the pointer. Using these coordinates and the dimensions of the square, it calculates the percentage of sets from the bottom right corner. It ensures that the calculated percentages fall within the range of 0 to 100. And finally, it updates the gradient position using these percentages, indicating the position of the radial gradient circle. So this function handles blur events on the angle input field, which is here. And it also ensures that it remains within the valid range of 300 degrees. Then we have a function that handles key down events on the angle input, allowing only numeric input and blurring the field on enter key press. So the component itself renders either a linear or radial gradient based on the selected gradient type. For a linear gradient, it displays an angle picker, circle, and an input field. And for radial gradient, it displays a square representing a gradient area. The last component that we have is gradient code. And it is responsible for displaying gradient CSS code and providing functionality to copy this code to the clipboard, like so. So let me find it. Here it is. Yeah. So what does it do? It has two use effects. That the first one is used to calculate the number of lines needed to display the gradient code properly. The second one recalculates the number of lines when the gradient string changes. So this function basically does that. The next function that we have is the function that copies the CSS gradient code to the clipboard, and it adds a message to indicate the action. That's it. That's what it does. That's it for today. Hope our educational series is useful for you. Stay tuned for more. Don't forget to like and subscribe.